I can't even count the amount of times I've failed. The amount of times I've gotten into a rut and stayed there for so long periods. And every single time I would hit myself in the head because of it. Though every time I got out of the rut, I realized that it just made me stronger. You've probably heard the phrase, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And that's true, because the way that you can learn is by doing. And what do you mean by that? Well, I mean that when you're failing, you can learn from your mistakes. And of course, it's smarter to learn from other people's mistakes as well. But if you fail a whole lot, then that's how you'll actually improve, if you decide to take action and learn from your mistakes. If you're going to keep coming into the same mistakes and be in denial and say, no, it's not me, then of course it's not. But I've personally gotten so much better by failing. And it seems counterintuitive, but that's just how it is. I've failed so many times and I've learnt from my failures every single time. And that's why I'm here. Don't you think that because of all the misery and all the dumb mistakes that I've done throughout my life with getting addicted to all of these things like scrolling and video games and all of these bad modern technology addictions, right? Don't you think that because I've gotten addicted to them, I maybe wouldn't have been here if I would just live like a normal life and didn't feel like shit when I was doing those things. It was, if I was just like okay, then that probably didn't compel me to be here, and I didn't learn from my failures. It was only when I was so deep in failure that I actually learned. When you learn from your mistakes, you're also making sure that you won't commit to that mistake again. So if I know, let's say for example, I fell in a rut because I started watching way too much YouTube when I woke up. Then when I get like back to my normal self and I'm not emotional anymore, and I think, what was it that caused that? Well, it was that I would grab my phone and cope and say that I was just going to check the weather or whatever it may be, right? And then I got onto YouTube and started watching. So I make sure that that doesn't happen again. Like, I won't cope, I won't say like, oh, I'm going to check my phone to do this and do something else. You see, when you learn like that, then you become stronger. And every single failure that you have, it builds you into the man that you want to be. Like, if I hadn't failed this many times, don't you think I'd be crushed if something bad ever happens? Because the bad times will come, the hard times will come. So the amount of times you failed up until that point, when the hard times will come for you, then that just determines how you're going to handle the hard times. Because if you're used to failing all the time, which you should be, you should literally seek out failing. Do some things that you probably can't do right now, but you will fail and you'll learn from that. Failing also builds you into the man that you want to be. Think about it. If you put somebody up who's never failed and somebody who's failed a million times, who do you think wins? Obviously the guy that has failed a million times, because he's tried so many things. He has corrected his course all these many times. And if the next failure hits him, it's like nothing. He can just dust it off his shoulders. Whereas the other kid, who's never failed, who's always just tried not to do anything wrong and did what he was told, right? When he hits failure for the first time, because the hard times will come, he's going to get the feeling of being hit in the face by a hammer. Because he doesn't know what it feels like to fail. He hasn't learned, he's never made any mistakes, so he hasn't learned from himself. Because sure, you can go online and learn from other people's mistakes, but you won't learn nearly as much as you will learn from your own mistakes. And you shouldn't shame yourself for making mistakes and failing, because that's what builds you. Every time you fail, you should be happy, because now you have an opportunity to learn. But you will only improve from there if you decide to learn and not be in denial. Say, no, I didn't do any mistakes. No, that's not me. Yeah, I'm good. I'm perfect. No, it wasn't me. See, then that's the problem. Then it's not good to fail. But you have to say, okay, yes, I failed. I understand, but I'm gonna try to learn from here and go back to it. Because then think how unstoppable you'll become. Then soon, any failure or anything that happens to you, it will be just like wiping the dust off your shoulders. It will feel like nothing. But that's only when you've failed 1,000,000, however many times of failure it takes. And I'm not even there yet. It takes years And you'll never get to that point where you're immune to failure. Like, it will never happen, but the more times that you fail, the more you'll become stronger, the more it will build you. You're clearly interested in self-improvement videos just like this one, so go down and click the subscribe button. It's a win-win for me and you. Remember to join the Discord, and last but not least, put one foot in front of the other.